Computers get a lot of their power from working with data structures. A data structure is an organized collection of related data. An object is a data structure, but this type of data structure consisting of fairly small number of names, instance variables, is just the beginning. In many cases, programmers build complicated data structures by hand, by linking objects together. But there is one type of data structure that is so important and so basic that is built into every programming language, the array. An array is a data structure consisting of a number, list of items where all the items are all of the same type. In the Java, the items in an array are always numbered, from 0 up to some maximum value, which is set when the array is created. For example, an array might contain 100 integers, numbered from 0 to 99. The items in an array can belong to one Java primitive type. They can also be referenced to objects so that you could, for example, make an array containing all the components in an applet. This chapter how arrays created in Java.
Let's try to get a little more concrete about all this. Using arrays of integers as our first example, since int is a class, it can be used to declare variables. For example, int this creates a variable named list of time. Name this variable is capable of referring an array of ints, but initially its value is a null. If it's a member variable in a class, or undefined if it is local variable in a method. The new operator is used to create a new array object, which can then be assigned. The syntax for using be assigned new with arrays is different from the syntax we learned previously. New with arrays is different from the syntax we learned previously. New int 5. As an example, list creates an array of 5 integers. More generally, creates an array of 5 integers. More generally, the constructor used to create an array belonging to class base type. Is used to create an array belonging to class base type. In the brackets, the value specifies the length of the array. In the brackets, the number of elements specifies the length of the array. That is the number of elements how long it contains. The length of the array knows how long variable in the array of the length of the array is an instant variable in the array of can be referred to as this length. The length of an array, however, you are not allowed to change the value of however, you are not allowed to change the value of a final instant variable. So, it's really a final instant variable. One whose value cannot be changed. One whose value cannot be changed. The situation produced by the statement this equals new 5. The situation produced by the statement equals new int 5 can be pictured like this equals new int 5 can be pictured like the statement list equals new 5. The statement an array that can be held 5 equals new 5 creates an array that can be held 5 ints and sets list to refer it and sets the array object contains 5 integers which are referred to as the array object contains 5 integers, which are referred to as list. It is also contains list 1 and so forth. Number of items also in the array list length can be changed. Number of items in the array that the newly created array of integers is automatically filled with zeros. In Java, a newly created array is always filled with a known. In Java, a newly created array is always filled with a known. False for Boolean, default value 0 for Unicode number for 0 char, Boolean, null for character with Unicode number for 0 char, and null for object. The elements in the array objects. The elements in the array list. The elements in the array 0. The elements in the array list 2 are referred to list 0, list 1, list 2. Note that the index for the last item is 1 less than list length. However, arrays references can be more generally than this. The brackets in an array reference can contain any expression whose value is an integer. For example, if index is variable of type int, the list index and list 2 times index plus 7 are syntactically correct references to the elements of the array list. Thus, the following loop will print all the integers in the array list to standard output. For int I equals to 0, less than length less than list length I++, open bracket, system.out.println list, semicolon, close bracket. First time to the loop I is 0, and list 1 refers to list 0. So it is a value stored in the variable list 0 that is printed. Second time through the loop is 1 and the value stored list 1 is printed. The loop ends after printing the value of list 4. When I becomes equal to 5 and the continuation condition I less than list length is no longer true. This is typically example of using loop to process an array. Every use of a variable is a program specifies a memory location. Think for a moment about what the computer does when it encounters a reference to an array element. List K, while it is executing a program, the computer must determine which memory location is being referred to. To the computer, list K means something like this. Get the pointer that is stored in the variable list. Follow the pointer to an array object. Get the value of K. Go to the K/th position in the array, and that's the memory location you want. There are two things that can go wrong here. Suppose that the value of list is a null. If that is in the case, then list doesn't even refer to an array. That the attempt to refer to an element of an array that doesn't exist is an error. This is an example of a null pointer error. The second possible error occurs if list does refer to an array, but the value of K is outside the legal range of indices for that array. This will happen if K is less than 0 or if K is greater than equal list length. This is called an array index out of the bounds error. When you see arrays in a program, you should be mindful that both types of errors are possible. However, array index out of the bounds error are by far the most common error when working with arrays.
Just for any variable, you can declare the variable and initialize in a single step. For example, int list is equal to new int 5, semicolon. If list is a local variable in a subroutine, then this is exactly equivalent to the two statements. Int list, semicolon, list is equal to new int 5, semicolon. If list is an instant variable, then of course, you can simplify, replace int list is equal to new int 5, semicolon with int list. List is equal to new int 5. Since the assignment statement, list is equal to new int 5, is only legal inside the subroutine. The new array is filled with the default value appropriate for the base type of the array, 0 for int and null for class types. For example, however, Java also provides a way to initialize an array variable with a new array filled with a specified list of values. In a declaration statement that creates a new array, this is done with an array initializer. For example, int list is equal to 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, close bracket, semicolon. Creates a new array containing the 7 values 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, and 49, and set list to refer to the new array. The value of list 0 will be 1, the value of list 1 will be 4, and so forth. The length of list is 7, since 7 values are provided in the initializer. An array initializer takes the form of a list value of values, separated by commas and enclosed between the braces. The length of the array does not have to be specified because it is implicit in the list of values. The item in an array initializer don't have to be constants. They can be variables or arbitrary expressions, provided that their values of the appropriate types. For example, the following declaration creates an array of 8 colors. Some of the colors are given by expression of the form new color, RGB. Color palette is equal to open braces, black, color red, color pink, new color, open and close parentheses, 0, 180, 0, slash, dark green, color blue, new color, open and close parenthesis, 180, 180, and 255, color white, and close bracket. Alice initializer of this form can be used only in a declaration statement to give an initial value to a newly declared array variable. It cannot be used in an assignment statement to assign a value to a variable that has been previously declared. However, there is another similar notation for creating a new array that can be used in an assignment statement or pass as a parameter to a subroutine. The notation uses another form of the new operator to create and initialize a new array object. For example, to assign a new value to an array variable, this that was declared previously, you could use this is equal to new int, open and close bracket, 1, 8, 27, 64, 125, 216, and 343. The general syntax for this form of the new operator is new base dash type, open and close bracket, list of values. This is an expression whose value is an array object. Be used in any context where an object of type base type is unexpected. For example, it can be used in any context make buttons where an object of type base type is a parameter. For example, make buttons. If make buttons is a method that bracket stop an array of strings as a parameter, you could say make buttons. One final note for historical reasons. Stop, go, next. Int list, semicolon. Usual syntax used in the language C and C++. However, this alternative syntax does not really make much sense in the context of Java and is probably best avoided. After all, the intent to declare a variable of a certain types and the name of that type is int, it makes sense to follow the type name, variable name, syntax for such declaration.
To furthermore understand about arrays, the advantage of an array is if your program requires a definite number of containers or variable, you will not have to declare, for example, int A, int B, int C, and so forth. So, the number of variables are not definite, so we have to use an array. So, in our example program, the problem is that we have to print all the values inside the array. We have to get the sum and get the maximum. In this case, the value inside an array is initialized. So the class name is basics of array. We have to do the mandatory part, which is declaring the method. So we have to use public static void main string args. And we have to declare the array. Int test is equal to 10, 17, 16, and 90. So, to print all the values, we have to use a for loop. So, for integer index is equal to 0, index is less than test.length, so the test.length is the length of the array. Index plus plus. So, we have to simultate this. So, the value of index is 0. So, why it is not less than test.length? Because the values inside our array are 4 values. If we use less than or equal to, it will loop 5 times. And then, the integer index will now be incremented. So, index is equal to 0. Is index less than 4? True. So, it will now proceed to the statement. The values are test.index. So, the output is at the index 0, which is 10. And now, the integer index will now be incremented. So, 0 plus 1 is equal to 1. So, is 1 less than 4? True. So, it will print again the values inside the array, which at the index 1, so it is 17. So, the integer index will now be incremented. So, is 2 less than 4 true? It will proceed now to the statement. So, it will now output the value 16, which is at index 2. So, the integer index will now be incremented. So, 2 plus 1 is equal to 3. Is 3 less than 4 true? Ano na ako?
Is 3 less than 4.
Hindi, kanina. 1, 0, 1. Ulit na tayo. Ulit. Wait lang. So, we have to do simultations. So, index is equal to 0. Is 0 less than 4 true? So, it will now output the value 10, which is at index 0. So, the integer index will now be incremented. So, 0 plus 1 is equal to 1. Is 1 less than 4 true? So, it will output the value 17, which is at index 4, and index will now be incremented. So, 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. 2 less than 4 true. So, it will print the number 16, which is at index 2, and the index will now be incremented. So, is 3 less than 4 true? So, it will output the value 90 at index 3, and index will now be incremented. So, is 4 less than 4 false. So, the loop will now be exited. And in summing all, we have to initialize a variable containing the sum of all integers inside our array. So, we have to use a for loop again, and we have to simultate it again to further understand. So, sum is equal to 0. We have to first initialize our variable. So, for integer index is equal to 0, index is less than test.length, index plus plus. So, sum plus minus, we have to use assignment operator, test index. So, we have to simultate it for index is equal to 0, is 0 less than 4 true. So the value of sum is equal to 10. Then the index will now be incremented. So 0 plus 1 is equal to 1. So is 1 less than 4 true. So the sum now is at 10, so it will be added by 17, so it will become 27. The sum now is 27. So the index will now be incremented, so it will be 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. So is 2 less than 4 true? So the value of our sum is 27 plus 16. So the sum now is equal to 43. So 2 plus 1 is equal to 3, and is 3 less than 4 true? So the value of our sum is 43 plus 90. So the value of our sum now is 133. And the index will now be incremented, so 3 plus 1. So is 4 less than 4 false. So the loop will now be exit, and we will print the sum. System.out.print.ln is the sum of all elements are plus sum. So now we have to find the maximum value. So we have to first initialize the container for the maximum value, and we initialize this by making the value at the index 0. So for integer index is equal to 0, index is less than test.length, index plus plus. So we have to use a control statement. If test index is greater than max, then the value of max will now be replaced by test index. So we have to simultate it again. So for integer index is equal to 0, index is less than test.length, index plus plus. If test index our test index is equal to 10 and our max is equal to 10. If it is greater than, we have to replace the value of the test index to max. And it is not greater than, so we don't have to do anything with it. Then it will be incremented, so the value of max is still at 10. So index is equal to 1. Index is it less than test.length, which is 4, true. So is the value of max now is 10, so is 17 greater than 10, so true. So the value of max now is 17, and the value of index will now be incremented, so it is equal to 2. So 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. Then is 2 less than 4? True. So is 16 greater than 17? False. So the value of our max is still at 17. Then it will be incremented, so it will become 3. 2 plus 1 is equal to 3. Is 3 less than 4? True. So we have to do the control statement down, and is 90 greater than 17? True. So the replaced value of 17 is 90. So the index will now be incremented, so it will become 4. Is 4 greater than 4? Is 4 less than 4? So the loop will now be exit. So the loop will now be exit. And output would be the maximum is the maximum. So the value of our maximum value is